Hi everybody and welcome back to another episode of Our Live channel. So today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Catching Feelings. Alright, so before we start off, I just want to announce that in this episode I'll be giving away 2 tickets to go see this film. So please stay till the end of this video to find out how you can stand a chance of winning 2 tickets to go see this film. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright, so as most of you probably already know, Catching Feelings is a movie written, directed and produced by Kagiso Letige. It also stars Kagiso Letige, Pearl Thusi, Andrew Buckland and I think Alakeno Motoso. And I went to watch this movie. It came out yesterday on the 9th of March and I went to watch it, and this is basically a spoiler review, not spoiler free, spoiler review of the movie. So if you haven't watched the movie and you want to avoid spoilers, avoid this video, or just go watch the film and then come back and watch this review. So let's quickly get into it. When it comes to the acting in this movie, I love it. It was really amazing. I said this in my review that I feel like now South African films, I don't know whether it's a trend, but they're going in this direction where it almost everything is just natural. The acting is natural. There's no overacting, there's no poor acting. Everything is almost just like things are happening naturally and there just so happens to be a camera, and that's what was happening in this film. Kagiso Letige, I actually didn't know he was this good when it comes to acting. I've seen him many times before, but this time around it was something different. And then it was Pearl Thusi. The last film I watched with Pearl Thusi was Galushi, and I must say I was really disappointed with the performance there. But in this film, she really did an entire 180 or 360, whichever way you look at it. And she is probably, in my opinion, the best actor in this film. She outdid herself. Everything was so natural. Everything was just on point. It was effortless. The acting was so effortless. There were a few actors here and there, maybe 1 or 2, where you kind of felt like, okay, it's a bit too rehearsed, but everybody else apart from that, honestly, the acting was on point. It was natural and I really loved it. And as much as I don't want to touch too much on the directing, but I feel like in most cases good acting is a byproduct of very good directing, and this movie was written and directed by Kagiso Letige, and I feel like he did a very good job in this case in directing most of the actors in here, and once again, hats off to him. Alright, another point I want to touch on is the writing, because the writing on this film is amazing. It's amazing, and I feel like we knew Kagiso was good. Like we all know Kagiso from the Pure Monate show days, and we knew he was good. But I feel like in this movie, he really proved himself in many roles, especially the writing. I feel like this film wasn't written in the past 2 to 3 years. I feel like he's been working on this movie and it is exactly what he wanted it to be, because the script is just amazing. It's put together well, and when I say script, I don't necessarily mean in terms of dialogue. The dialogue was also amazing. It flowed so well, but I'm not talking just about the dialogue. I'm talking about the entire story structure and the beats a movie is supposed to hit, and this movie does exactly that, and he really knocked it out the park this time around. And just quickly, another point on the writing, I feel like once again Kagiso is obviously a well-seasoned, like a highly decorated comedian, and you can really see that in this film. This film masquerades as something else. It masquerades as a rom-com drama, but it's not really that. It's not really that, and I'll get to that in a while. The humor and the irony is very, like, this is a man who knows how to write a joke. You can tell by the jokes that are supposed to be in your face and the underlying jokes that are supposed to make you go okay, yeah, and you can tell that this person is a well-seasoned comedian. Alright, so the next point I'm going to touch on is basically some of the themes that this movie, or rather the themes I picked up that this movie talks about. And amongst many other themes, it rotates around a whole lot of current themes, like most things that we are talking about nowadays. And I know I feel like this movie was written a long time ago. Not a long time ago, but basically time was put into writing this film. But the themes that are being explored in this film are very current and they're very relevant. They touched a whole lot on certain issues, also certain social issues such as racism, post-colonialist South Africa, a post-apartheid South Africa. It touches on racism, class. It touches on classism a whole lot. It touches on sexual identity, but mostly the main theme it revolves around is the theme of the ego, and how, you know that saying, you are your greatest enemy. yeah, this movie is basically about that, and that's what I meant when I said it's masquerading as a rom-com, but it's actually more of a dark comedy with a touch of maybe satire here and there, but mostly focus on self-awareness and the philosophy and psychology of yourself and how you can have something good and totally fuck it up just because of the voices in your head. Okay guys, once again, spoiler alert, this is where I'm now stepping into spoiler territory from here onwards. So I'll just quickly get into the characters. The main lead character obviously is Max, played by Kagiso. So in the movie he's introduced as a character who is he's a professor at Wits. He teaches English. He's once written a very spectacular book, but that was years ago, a well-acclaimed book that was years ago, and he's portrayed to us as a person who is now very self-conscious, in negative in a way. He's kind of jealous and kind of paranoid and egotistic to a certain degree, and he's also an asshole. I forgot to mention that. He's an asshole, but not the in-your-face annoying asshole, the oh yeah, that's exactly how I feel type of asshole. When you watch him, you're like, yeah, that's how I feel you, I want to say what you're saying. He just says it instead of thinking it, you understand? Next is the character of Sam, played by Pearl Tusi, who is she plays the character of a very loving, bubbly, open-hearted, like very happy wife. Convincingly plays that character also. Very supportive towards her husband. And then we have the character also of his friend, who's played up by Akeno Motosa, and it's Joe. He's also a lecturer at Wits, and he's an economist. He's basically that lecturer who will he's a Casanova basically. And the other character in this film is played by Andrew Buckland. It's the character of Heine. I think it's Heine Miller, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it's Heine Miller, and he is actually a more successful, more celebrated writer. He wrote a book back in apartheid South Africa, back in the times of, it was either just before or just after apartheid, and it was an anti-apartheid book, and he was looked up to as this hero. Became too overwhelming for him, basically, according to the film, and he chose to leave the country and go live in Australia, if I'm not mistaken. He comes back, and obviously when he comes back, people are still hailing him, and that's basically the characters that move the film. Alright, so Sam and Max basically find themselves in a very tricky financial situation where they have to, they're living in the suburbs, but they have to probably at some point downgrade their lifestyle, and that's where the movie actually kind of takes, or rather starts off the premise of the film. And then, not so long from then, the writer, the more successful Heine Miller writer, comes back to South Africa, and as you can imagine, everybody in town is going crazy. Everybody wants to meet him. He's more successful. Max's opinion on the guy is not so positive. He doesn't really care that much for the guy. He thinks he's pretentious, he's a hypocrite. Basically, he doesn't like the guy. So the guy comes back to South Africa. Long story short, they start off not liking each other. Actually, Max starts off not liking Heine. Eventually, they spend a week getting sloshed, arguing over personal reasons, philosophical, psychological reasons, social things, and eventually they create a bond at some point when Heine invites Max over to a party. Heine, who involves himself in sexual activities with more than one woman, but I guess he suffers a heart attack during that, and he has to be rushed to hospital by Max, obviously. And then, since he doesn't really have family in South Africa or anybody to take care of him, he's well off. He just doesn't have anybody to keep an eye out for him when he comes out of hospital. He now has to move in with this couple, Sam and Max, and that's where things actually start changing, because Heine is a very, he will, for lack of a better way to express this, fuck anything that moves. That's literally what was said in the movie about the guy. And Kagiso, being the very self-conscious person that he is, he feels like his wife is way out of his league, and he feels like this guy he can't trust this guy. We see this when Kagiso has to go for a talk in Cape Town, that he has to deliver, and this talk, by the way, he's gonna get paid for it, and when he gets paid for it, he's supposed to settle his overdraft. So at some point when he's supposed to go there, he's kind of very like a bit uneasy about the entire thing and doesn't really want to go because he doesn't trust leaving his wife with this guy who will literally have sex with anything that moves. He goes to Cape Town. When he's there, he's busy being paranoid, trying to stalk his wife, and just basically even having to the point of having nightmares. He eventually cancels the talk and comes back to South Africa, but instead of going home, he books a B&B and he chills at the B&B and tries to stalk them once again and tries to go back to his house and check what is going on. Are they having sex? He basically wants to catch them in the act. This is due to other reasons also in the movie, some things that happen where Max almost kind of cheated on his wife, so I guess he's feeling some sort of guilt and he's trying to get back at his wife by that, to paint them both as bad people, and also him just being a paranoid person. Alright, so also another reason why Sam actually doesn't trust, Max doesn't trust Sam is not because she's unfaithful or anything. Max is very paranoid and self-conscious, and Sam being the person that everybody loves Sam. You will love Sam. Everybody loves Sam, and Sam is cool with everybody once again. But he finds himself in this situation where his wife is that type of person, and you now introduce someone who is basically a predator into the situation, who will literally try to work his way into the pants of his wife, and he is suffering from that fear. He fears this man will try to sleep with. That's basically the plot, and the reason why I love the plot and I love the story actually is because of this is where all of these things that I mentioned at the beginning actually come into place. It is the entire story is woven around all of these things where they explore all these other themes that I spoke of, and it's believable. I think that's the biggest reason why I love this movie. It is believable, it makes sense, it is relatable, and you feel what everybody's feeling individually. You don't feel like one person is overreacting. You don't feel like the other person is pretending. You don't feel like you understand it, because it basically revolves around the relationships that Max has with his wife, himself, and his friends. It touches the heart in a way, and I feel like, once again, I feel like he's very proud of this film. I know I would be. If I made this film, I would be very proud, and this might be a beginning of a new age for him as a writer, as a director, and even, especially also as an actor. It was a very well made film. Oh, here's another thing. This film, the way it was written is the entire story, it provokes relevant conversations in our head. As I said, it's very current. It speaks about a whole lot of issues, external and internal issues we face with ourselves separately as individuals. And for me, I tend to gravitate a whole lot towards those types of films, because I faced a whole lot of failures in my life. I faced a whole lot of insecurities, self-consciousness. Hell, me launching this channel was based on me overcoming my self-consciousness and my insecurities with my work, and getting myself to a point where I can overcome and share my work with everybody. So it really resonates when he says, there's a joke he cracks about how he hates how nowadays everybody will ask you what you're doing, but the minute you let them know that you're doing something that doesn't earn you $1 billion a second, they immediately lose interest. And I know exactly how that feels, because many times I've been unemployed, many times I've worked a regular 9 to 5, nothing amazing, and people like asking this question for some reason. I don't care for it, but people will ask you, what are you doing? And the minute you tell them that, oh no, I'm a call center agent, for example, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, and they don't care suddenly. And it is actually portrayed in the film while it happens, when someone asks him what he does, and his friend Joe actually tells them, you should tell them you're a writer. And he says, no, I'm not going to tell them I'm a writer, because I haven't written in like 10 years. I'm just going to seem like an imposter. And once again, I know exactly what that feels like. I'm a writer. I'm an aspiring filmmaker. So sometimes when people, all the times actually, when people ask me, what do you do? I don't tell them I'm a filmmaker. I don't tell them I'm a writer. I don't tell them I'm a photographer. I just tell them I do nothing, or I do this job there. And because I can't really claim those things, not because I can't do them or I haven't done them, I actually do them, and I can do them. It's just I feel like I don't have anything yet to show for that. And if I just claim that, I'll seem like an imposter or a wannabe or a poser. And that's actually probably the biggest reason why I actually gravitated mostly towards this film. It really addresses the issues of the self, and that's very important. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys have already gathered that I really loved and enjoyed this film, but I'll just, for the sake of being fair and impartial, is if there was anything I didn't like about this film, it's not really much, to be honest with you. I'll be nitpicking, and in the name of nitpicking, there were maybe like 1, 2, or 3, maximum 3 kind of dry or bad jokes, or maybe I didn't get them, but there were kind of like 2 or 3 jokes that were like, it felt kind of forced or dry. Apart from that, honestly, there's nothing else I didn't like about this film. Okay, for me, because this matters for me, it would be the cinematography, the entire, like the camera work behind the film. Sometimes it kind of felt a bit offish. The entire composition of shots, the framings, it kind of didn't make sense sometimes. Like there were some shots that was like, okay. Sometimes I can see what they were trying to do, or maybe they actually wanted me to feel that way, I don't know, but I could see what they were trying to do, and maybe I feel like they fell short of, but it really wasn't that much of a big deal. It's not like the movie is, oh my god, unbearable, I cannot watch this. No, it's something, if you have any interest in cinematography, you're gonna pick up darker blue. Like you're like, there's something off about this entire composition of this frame. It kind of doesn't feel right. But apart from that, honestly, like I said, this is just nitpicking. This is me trying to find something bad to say about the film if a gun was pointed to my head, and that would basically be it. Alright, so in closing, guys, obviously you've gathered I really love this film, and I don't like rating films. I don't rate films, but if I have to do it just to give you an indication, I would give it a 7. I'd give it a 7. This is in a good way, by the way. I'd give it a 7 because here's another thing I wanted to say about this film is it is a good film as a movie. There's no that it didn't do this thing of feeling like a South African film where you have to watch it with a pinch of salt and be like, okay, it's good for a South African movie. No, and I like that most movies in South Africa being released are going in that direction of not feeling too South African, and I don't mean in terms of feeling international or anything, but no, they're finding their feet in the sense that you don't have to watch a movie now and judge it on the merits of being a South African film. You can now watch it and just judge it on being a film, as a film compared to any other film in the world. Is this a good movie? And yes, this is a good movie. You don't have to excuse it by being a South African film. Like for a South African film, yeah, it's pretty good. No, it's just a good movie. Because as I mentioned at the beginning, there's going to be a competition in this video. Basically, this competition is very simple. There's a qualifying criteria for you to be entered into the lucky draw that will, if you win, you'll get 2 tickets to go see this movie in the theaters. All you have to do is just comment down below on why you'd want to see this film. Literally, that's all you have to do. It can literally just be one sentence. Why would you want to go see this film? And based on the review, why, what made you now more interested? Are you interested? Are you more interested? And why would you like to go see this film? So qualifying criteria number 1, you must comment on this video. That's the first thing here on YouTube. Comment here, and then there are other ways to gain extra entries into the lucky draw. If you have Facebook, you can go on Facebook and also share this video there. If you have Instagram, you can go on Instagram and share this video there. Once again, share the link or the video. And if you have a Twitter, you can go on my Twitter and tag me and share this video or this review, or the link to this video there also. And all you have to do is literally those things. So if you comment, the first thing you must do, firstly, comment down below. If you've commented, it's an automatic entry into the draw, and then you have 3 other chances to increase your entries into the draw. So in total, you have 4 entries into the draw. You go on Facebook, you just go search Noah's Ark Shangase, and then you share the link to this video, and you basically tag me in that. On my Twitter, it's Nanawe Live, which is NQANAWELIVE, and you basically once again share the link or share the video and tag me on that. And on Instagram, it's nanawe.imax. Almost forgot my Instagram handle, nanawe.imax, NQANAWE.IMAX. And once again, share the link to this video, and then tag me also in that post. That's basically all you have to do. The more entries, the more platforms you engage this competition on, obviously the more you increase your chances of actually winning the tickets to go see this movie. So yeah, that's basically about it for today, guys. I'll see you on the next episode.